Go.
Preferably, the two birds should be identical in appearance, height, and monetary value, and they should be acquired at the same time. Even if they're not identical, they may be used. If you purchase one bird one day and the other bird another day, they may be used. If the first bird was slaughtered and was found to be a non-wild bird, you should acquire a mate for the second. The first one may be eaten. If he slaughtered the first bird and it was found to be a treifa, he should acquire a mate for the second. It is permitted to benefit from the first one. If its blood is spilled, the bird should have been sent away to left to die, and if the bird that should have been sent away to die, dies, the blood for the slaughtered bird must be spilled out. The cedar wood should not be 1 cubit long and as thick as a quarter of the leg of a bed. Measure the thickness by splitting a beg lead into two pieces and splitting the two pieces into four. The Esav must not be Greek Esav, nor Kalkala Esav, or Roman Esav, or Desert Esav, nor any other Esav with a qualifying description. On the eighth day, the Matorah brings three animals, a sin offering, a guilt offering, and a burnt offering. The poor person brings birds for the sin offering and for the burnt offering. Okay.
Okay. So now comes the procedure for offering the guilt offering, which is actually the primary offering that permits him to resume normal life. Up until now, the Matzorah is in the status of Mechusar Kippurim. Okay, he has, in one of the Mishnayos that we missed out while I was sick, we described how he moves back through the stages of becoming where it's Tvulyum, there's the Tvulyum, and there's the Mechusar Kippurim, and then he's right. So the first thing is when on the day before he goes to mikveh. So once he goes to mikveh on the day before, on the seventh day, he's now allowed back in his house. He can be with his wife. Okay, so he's called a tvulyum, and a tvulyum is allowed to eat maaser sheni. Okay, and then when evening time comes on that night, then he's no longer tvulyum. He's now fully tahor. And if he's a kohen, he's allowed to eat truma. And then, and the only thing that he needs now is he needs his kapara, and a mechusar kippurim is not allowed to eat kodshim. Okay, and mechusar kippurim is also not allowed into the azara past the Shari Kanor, and that's the important point that we've got over here. He's not allowed past the Shari Kanor. Okay, so he comes to so the problem is that an asham, of course, being a korban, it has to be brought inside the azara, and he being a matzara, being the mechusar kippurim, is not allowed into the Eretz Yisrael even.
Right.
So, ba'alo etzel asham v'samach shtei yadav alav. Okay. So they bring the animals. So he's standing right in the Shari Kanor. Oh, what's going on? There's a big noise going on. Somebody keeps banging a gate or a door or something very loud. Anyway, so he has to lean his hands on it, but from outside the gate. So he's standing outside and the animal's inside, and he does his leaning on it. Okay. Shchato. So now whoever shechts it. It could be anyone. So this time, normally you only have one kohen catching the blood. But this time, so you have one who, as normal, catches it in the kli, which is going to get sprinkled on the mizbech. But one kohen has to catch the blood in his hand, because that blood is going to be used for application on the matzorah himself. The one who caught it in the kli, ba uzrako al kir hamizbech. He goes and throws it on the mizbech, two on the opposite corners, on the northeast and the southwest corners. Okay. Zeh shekibel b'kli is zeh shekibel b'yad, and the one who kept it in his hand, balo etzel hamatzorah. So he comes to the matzorah who's standing at Shar Nikanor. Hamatzorah tabal b'lishkas hamatzorahim. So he says, so even though the Matzorah toveled yesterday, Chazal said that we're worried that it's been a long time that he's been potentially been a long time that he's been like Itame and not concerned about matters of Tuma and Tara. and he may have become tameh between yesterday and today. So there's another mikveh in the Lishkas Mitzrayim, which is one of those 4 chambers in the Ezras Nashim. Okay, so he goes. So he has to. He before this, he has already been to mikveh. He comes out now, and he's standing in the Shani Kanor. Okay. Rabbi Yehuda Omer lo haya tzarich tevila, but he disagrees with the Chachamim and says there's no need for him to tovel today. He already toveled yesterday. Okay, and he relies on the person to keep himself tahor for at least one day. Okay, so now Mishnah Tes carries on the process. The Metzora is standing in the Shar Nikanor, but he can't. The application has to be done in the inside the Azara, whereas he's not allowed into the Azara. So he's got to put parts of his body through so that he doesn't bring his whole body through at the same time. Okay. Hichnis Rosha, Nasan al Tanuch Ozno. So he has to stick his head through the gate over the line, and the Kohen applies some of the blood to the lobe of his right ear. Okay. Yado, then he has to stick his right hand through. Nasan al Bohen Yado. Excuse me a second. We need to give Abraham over here a little bit of attention. Would you like your Cassie? There, dum dum. There you go.
This is all very strange. This whole procedure seems very strange.
This is what's mandated in the Torah. I can't say yes, no. This is what he has to do. They put some blood on his thumb, and then he sticks his right leg through, and they put some blood on his big toe. Rabbi Yehuda Omer shloshtam haya machnis ke'echad. He says, "Oh, you got to do a Tai Chi maneuver over here, and stick your right leg, arm, and head through at the same time, so that the Kohen can come and do all this. So maybe he's got somebody else supporting him on the other side to make sure he doesn't fall over, because not everyone can do Tai Chi."
Right.
Okay. Now, what happens? Ein lo bohen yad. What happens if he's lost his thumb, or bohen regel, or his right toe, or zen yimanis, or he's lost his right ear? Okay. Ein lo tahara olamis. Then he can never become purified. That's it. He'll be a machusa kippurim for the rest of his life. But this, the Kati comments over here that most commentators say that this is only if he actually lost his thumb or finger or toe or ear in between his when he was purified as a Matzorah, and now because there he became it's a similar case to what's the case that they brought. Yad HaEdim, where somebody is sentenced to death by two witnesses, and then the witnesses, one of the witnesses lost a hand in between. So they what are they going to do? So then they say the Yad HaEdim or Rishona. So they learn that if the Edim lost a hand, one of the Edim lost a hand in between, then they can't perform the death penalty. However, if the aid lechatchila didn't have a hand, then he uses the stump of his arm or whatever it is that was his hand. So the same thing comes for the Matzorah, that if he started out not having a hand, then you put it on whatever is left of him, whatever stump is left behind, that you put it on that place, and then he would still have a Torah. Okay, Rabbi Eliezer Omer nosen hu al makomo. He says it doesn't matter. You just put it on the place closest to wherever the missing appendage came out of. Rabbi Shimon Omer im nasan al shel small yatsa. He says so do it on the left. Lechatchila you should do it on the right, but it's also acceptable to do it on the left. And the halacha follows neither Rabbi Eliezer nor Rabbi Shimon. Okay, proceeding from the blood onto the oil. Natal milog Hashem v'yatzak lesoch kapo shel chavera. So he has the log Hashem, and the Kohen pours it onto one of his colleagues' hands. there's a little because it mentions the hakohen al yad hakohen, because there are two mentions of a kohen. We see that lechatchila you should be having two kohanim involved in this. But however, if he poured it into his own hand, it's not ma'akev. He can carry on doing it. So he would take his finger, put it, his right finger, put it into the left hand, and flick 7 times, towards the Kodesh HaKodeshim. I'll call Hazayat Tavila. So every time dips, flick, dip, flick. We've seen this before with on Yom Kippur service. We've seen it also with the Paradoma. We do that dip, flick. Okay. Balo Etzel HaMetzorah. Now he comes with the remainder of the oil, and he comes to the Metzorah. Makom Shel Nosenes Adam, and everywhere that he put the blood, Shamu Nosenes Hashem, and he also has to put the oil. Shenimar Al Makom Dam HaAsham. Vanosar Min Hashemen Asher Al Knaf HaKohen Yitzen Al Rosh HaMitzaher L'Chaper. So he takes the remainder of the oil that hasn't been flicked, that's still in his left hand, and he sticks it on the head of the Metzorah. Is that going to mess up his hair? No, because he shaved his hair yesterday. Okay. Let's up there. Imna san kiper. So if he put it on, good, it's a kapara. Im lo nasan lo kiper divi Rabbi Akiva. Says that's ma'akev. Rabbi Akiva says it's a problem if you did not put the oil on his head. That messes up the whole procedure. Okay. Machlokes Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri Omer shiarei mitzvahen. It's just the right thing to do with the remainder. It's not like you have to have it, right? Ben shenasan, ben shenol nasan kiper. Doesn't matter whether you did or didn't. He's got his kapara. The ikar kapara was from the flicking and the placing on his ear and his thumb and toe. Okay. However, it's viewed as if he didn't really get a kapara. So it's really not a. It's not a good thing to do. Don't get in. Don't throw away the sharim. So everyone agrees that, of course, you should put the oil on his head, but just a machlokes as to whether technically he's got away with it or not. If they discovered that the log was deficient, that there wasn't enough oil in the jug before he started flicking. Then great. Then just take some oil from somewhere else and chop it up, and it'll be fine. However, if he's already poured it into the hand of the Kohen, he's got to start again. He's got to throw that out because it was an insufficient log. You can't just add more afterwards. Now it's once you've started you started the ceremony, which is pouring it into the Kohen's hand, and now it's no good. This is the words of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Shimon Omer, Chasar log ad shelo nasan yimal ena. If you discover that it's missing before he starts placing it on the person's ear and thumb and toe, then even up until that point you can still top it up. Misha nasan yavi acher b'tzachila. But if he's already started applying it to the Metzorah, that's when it's too late, and you've got to start again with a new log. Okay. All right. Now you're going to start doing the chazaras, and I'm going to attend to a little baby over here. Go ahead.
Okay. Here we go. Yud Beis Gimel. How many stones must the house have? For Mishnah says 4. Akiva says 8. For Rishmael used to say that until it is the size of 2 grits on 2 stones or 1 stone. Rabbi Akiva says until it is the size of 2 grits on 2 stones, not on 1 stone. Eliezer ben Shimon says until it appears the size of 2 grits on 2 stones on 2 adjacent walls and 2 grits long and 1 grit wide. Wood, enough to build the threshold, and Yehuda says enough to make a sandal behind the threshold, and clay enough to put between the sacks, or between the cracks. Walls of a feeding trough and partition walls do not become tummy from Negaim. Yerushalayim and outside the land of Israel do not become tummy from Negaim. How is a house examined? The one who owns the house shall come and tell the Kohen something, saying something like a nega has appeared to me in the house, even if a scholar who knows that it's definitely a nega should not decree. A nega has appeared on my house, rather, You should say something that appears like a negative that appeared on my house, and the Kohen shall command, and they shall empty out the house before the Kohen comes to examine the egg, so the egg, everything in the house does not become tamei. And then the Kohen shall come to examine the house, even bundles of wood, even bundles of weeds. These are the words of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Shimon says in the Torah, it says, is the Torah keeping him busy clearing out his house? Rabbi Meir says, what property of his becomes tamei? If he will say his wooden utensils, his clothing, and his metal objects, so he immerses them and they become tahor. About which items was the Torah concerned? About the earthenware utensils, his small jug, and oil dropper. If the Torah is so concerned for his insignificant property, how much more so for his precious possessions? And if so for his money, how much more for the lives of his sons and daughters? If so, for an evildoer, certainly for a righteous person.
Okay.
Okay. Olios. And we have Yud Ched Vav. Someone who walks through a basic process on stones that he does not cause to move, or on a person or an animal that was very strong, is tahor. Someone who walks through a basic process on stones that he causes to move, or on a person or an animal that is not strong, is tamei. And someone who walks in the land of the nations on mountains or rocks is tamei. In the sea or silt is tahor. What is silt? Any place to which the sea rises in its fury. Someone who purchased the field in Syria near the land of Israel, if the field can be entered while remaining tahor, it is tahor and is obligated to Masaris, Masris, and Shavias. If he cannot enter the field while remaining tahor, the field is tamei and is obligated to Masris and Shavias. The dwellings of idolaters are tamei, and how long must he have remained in the dwelling to require a search? 40 days. The dwelling is tamei even if there is no woman with him, and if there is a slave or a woman watching over him, a search is not required. What do they search? The deep sewers and the putrid waters. Putrid waters. Beis Shammai says even garbage bags and soft earth. Beis Hillel says any place that a pig or a weasel can reach does not require searching. Okay. Let me just see. Okay, tomorrow we're going to start anew.
Yeah, that's right.
Right?
Yeah, so we're going on to Negaim again.
Back to the beginning of the Negaim?
Yeah, beginning of Negaim.
Okay. All right. Okay. And we now have Caleb. Test Vav Daled. All hanging loops are tamei except for the loop of a household, the sister and sieve. These are the words of Remeah, but they come and say they are all tahor except the loop of a flour merchant sifter. The loop of a sieve is the threshing floors, the loop of a sand sickle, and the loop of a tax collector's staff because they assist when the utensils in use. This is the general rule. Those designed to assist when the utensils in use are tamei, and those designed merely for hanging are tahor. The shovel of bean grinders is tamei, but the shovel used in storehouses is tahor. The shovel of a wine press is tamei, and that of a threshing floor is tahor. This is the general rule. Utensils that are designed to hold something are tamei, but those designed for gathering are tahor. Musical lyres are tamei, but the lyres of Levites are tahor. And all liquids are tamei, but the liquids of a butchering place are tahor. All scrolls contaminate the hands except the scroll of the temple courtyard. A theater horse is tahor, as for a sitar, a metakem, and a tambourine, these are tamei. Rabbi Yehuda says the tambourine is susceptible to the tune of the seat because the woman wailer sits on it. A weasel trap is tamei, but the house trap is tahor. Okay, and we're going on to something new tomorrow. We're going to continue with Caleb.
It's the next volume of Caleb.
Right, next Caleb. Okay, just writing this down so I have it. And let's see. Okay. Let's see. And we are now to Arios.
Yep. Yeah.
This is Gimel Aleph base. No, Gimel Aleph. Right. An anointed Kohen who sinned and then passed from his position of anointment, and similarly a king who sinned and then passed from his position of greatness, the anointed Kohen brings a bull and the king brings a he-goat. An anointed Kohen who passed from his position of anointment and then sinned, and similarly the king who passes from his position of greatness and then sinned, the anointed kings bring a bull, and the king is like a commoner. If they sinned before they were appointed and they were appointed, they are like the commoner. Reb Shimon says if it became known to them before they were appointed, they are liable, and if they were appointed, they are exempt. Who is the Nasi? This is the king, as it is said, and he will do one of the commands of Hashem, his God, that is a Nasi who has none above him but Hashem, his God. Okay, let's see what's over. Shoot to go in Arios. The Tubas. Okay, Daled. A father has the authority over his daughter regarding her Erison. rather affected by money, document, or violations. He has the right to our findings, our handiwork, and the absolution of her vows, and he receives her bill of divorce, but he does not enjoy the usufruct during his lifetime. If she married, the husband exceeds him in the day, enjoys the usufruct during her lifetime. If he's liable for support, her ransom and her burial. The Yehuda says even the poorest in Israel will not hire fewer than two flutes and a laminating woman. Still, she is under the authority of her father until she enters the authority of her husband at marriage. And if the father gave her over to the agents of the husband, she is in the authority of the husband. If the father went along with the husband's agents, or if the father's agents went along with the husband's agents, she is still in the authority of her father. If the father's agents gave her over to the husband's agents, she's in the authority of the husband. The father is not liable for his daughter's support. The exposition of Eliezer ben Zari expound before the sages in the academy in Yavna. The sons will inherit, the daughters will be sustained. Just as the sons inherit only after the father's death, so are the daughters supported only after their father's death. Okay. And we have two more. Okay. Zion Dalit. This is a general principle. Whenever the value plus a fifth is repaid, the payment is truma. If the priest wishes to forego, he may not do so. And whenever the value is repaid but not the fifth, the payment is chulin. If the priest wishes to forego, he can forego. If there were two baskets, one of truma and the other of chulin, and a saw of truma fell into one of them and is not known into which it fell, I presume that it fell into the one of truma. If it is not known which is of truma, which is chulin, and he ate one of them, he is exempt. If the other one he treated as truma and it is liable to the chala. So says Reb Meir. Yossi exempts. And if another person ate the other one, he is exempt. And if one ate both, he repays the value of the smaller of the two. If one of them fell into chulin, it does not render beduma, and the other one he treats as truma and is liable to kala. So says Reb Meir. But Reb Yossi exempts. If the other one fell into another place, it does not render beduma, but both fell into the same place, it renders beduma in proportion to the smaller of the two.
Okay.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
And we have now, that's it. And